Can ink and paper capture a crime committed centuries ago and play it back into a drama? Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Williams, curator of a university museum, would have laughed at such idea, as he was a sensible man, interested in facts, dates, and catalogues, not in such superstitions. When a London art dealer sent him an old Mitsubishi engraving of a country house, he was unimpressed from the very beginning. The picture showed nothing particularly interesting. He turned it down with contempt. It was a large house with a large lawn and some hills. That evening, his friend, Professor Binks, came by for tea, whom he had already described the picture. He handed him the picture rather casually. Binks looked at the picture carefully and said, "I thought you said there were no figure in the picture." William said, "There aren't any." "Then what is that?" Near the trees stood a small dark figure, wrapped in black clothes. Williams was almost certain that it had not been there before. He frowned upon it. That night, when Binks had left, Williams had another look at the picture. And to his surprise, the figure had moved. It was no longer standing near the tree. It was crawling. It was crawling towards the house. Williams looked at the picture for several seconds. Then, behaving exactly like an educated man do in such impossible situations, Williams locked the picture in the door and went to bed. The next morning, Williams invited his neighbor in his bed and asked him to examine the picture without giving him any explanation. "Tell me exactly what you see in the picture," Mr. answered. "A house by moonlight, clouds overhead, and the lower window of the house stands open." Williams asked, "And the window? And the figure?" "What figure? There aren't any." Williams looked at the picture. The crawling shape had disappeared. And the window, which had certainly been closed before, now stood open. He whispered to himself, "He has got inside the house." When nothing made sense, the two men left the picture on a table and went out for a walk. In the evening, when they returned and had another look at the picture had changed once again. And the windows was now closed. And the figure was back on the lawn. This time it was no longer crawling, it was walking up street. And in its arm, it carried a child. Both the men froze in fear. What frightened them the most was not the figure itself. It was the feeling that the picture was not merely showing them something, rather it was revealing something. It was revealing something that happened years ago. When nothing made sense, they looked through the old historical documents around the picture until they finally identified the house. It was called Anningley Halls. As Williams read on about the house, the owner of the house, son, had disappeared from the very house, and he was never found. As Williams went on with his reading, he saw that years earlier, poacher named Gordy was hanged at the order of the owner. But before his execution, he swore revenge upon the owner's family. The owner never recovered from his child's disappearance. He withdrew himself from society and locked himself into a room and devoted himself to a picture. On the third anniversary of child's disappearance, the owner was found dead. And stood before him was his last completed work, the picture of Amelia Holmes. The changing image now seemed less like a ghost story, but more like a witness. The figure crosses the lawn, the window opens, the figure carries the child and disappears into darkness. The picture revealed everything step by step. The picture still hangs in the museum till today, but it hasn't changed. It has been watched by many people, but nothing has changed in the picture. It remains as it was. Perhaps the picture has nothing more to say.